This episode is sponsored by UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics. UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics is proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the 2023 high school football preview on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Holidaysburg or Bedford, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600.
You know, I looked in my closet today, too. I have a Twins t-shirt. I have an Orioles t-shirt. I have Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Anything that's cheap that I can find in my size, I will purchase. Except if it's a Steelers. I won't wear Steelers stuff. I won't wear Patriots stuff.
I need a few more outlets here.
I used to have a Marshawn Lynch jersey. Half t-shirt, half jersey.
Yeah.
It's a jersey. You think Max Scherzer would wear a jersey?
Oh.
Scherzer's jersey. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 8 of the High School Football Show here at the Altoona Mirror on YouTube TV and Public Access Channel 13 in Altoona. My name is Scott Franco, which my wife pointed out. She goes, "You didn't introduce yourself. You just went right to Mike." And I said, "That's because everybody knows who I am."
Did him first.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm joined again by the always reliable, always here, Mike Boydum.
Except when I go on vacation.
Except when he goes on vacation. I didn't want to bring that up. And Guru Jr., Andy Stine. We're going to go right into the Week 8 stuff since nobody sent us anything. I had to be talked out of it by these guys. I wanted to go just get the box of stuff we have in the newsroom from years past when people used to always send us stuff. And I thought we could just wax nostalgia and pull stuff out of the box. Andy and Mike thought that would be pathetic. Dan actually thought it would be funny. I thought it would be funny, and I was hoping it would guilt people into maybe getting us an Altoona helmet.
I do want to bring the one hat in here, though.
Even,
We might do that next week.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, so still time to send us stuff here. But anyways, while we wait for stuff, we're going to talk about games. Mike's first game he has here for us, Bishop Guilfoyle 4-3 at Chestnut Ridge 6-1. Right off the bat, what does BG have to look forward to as far as this Chestnut Ridge team coming off its first loss?
Yeah, they just lost their first game against Penn Cambria, and it was a competitive game, but that was Chestnut Ridge's first tough game, really. And they're in the middle of a tough stretch right now against Penn Cambria, BG, and then next week they play Richland. But Chestnut Ridge could have won that game. They are an explosive team. They have Nate Wysong at quarterback, and Chase Wysong is a really good, he can, he's a receiver. They can use him out of the backfield. Jeb Emmerich is a good guy in the backfield for them. But I wonder how high of a scoring game this will be because Chestnut Ridge hasn't really they didn't put up a lot of points against Penn Cambria last week, and BG hasn't really been lighting the scoreboard on fire this year either.
And Ridge gave up a kickoff return for a score last week, so technically they only gave up one touchdown, their defense.
Yeah,
I'm curious, I know I picked Ridge because I like home teams when the record's like this. if this game were at Mansion Park, do you think more people might think BG has a shot at this?
Yeah, I think this is kind of one of those toss-up games. I do think BG would win if it was in Mansion Park. And maybe sometimes we do put a little bit too much emphasis on home field, but I just like the way that Chestnut Ridge is playing these days. I did go with Chestnut Ridge to win. I expect them to bounce back. Tough loss last week, but hey, this should be a good one to bounce back on.
And I'm trying to think, going into the archives, when's the last time a BG team's been 4-4?
Oh,
So that would be a stat of the week to look up someday here. Our next game, I think, if this game were at North Star, I wonder what I'd have picked. Northern Bedford, 7-0, hosting North Star. How good is this North? We know how good Northern Bedford. How good is this North Star team?
Well, North Star is, at first at the beginning of the season, I wasn't quite sure how good they were because they lost to Juniata Valley. They lost by a point to Juniata Valley at Juniata Valley. But then they come in and they pounded Winber, who we all know is a very good program and one of the we thought was going to be the top threat to Northern Bedford in District 5. But the key for North Star this year has been they have a quarterback, Connor Yoder. He's thrown for 1,280 yards. He's also run for 440 yards. The running back, Ethan Smith, he's run for 584 yards. And get this, he's caught 15 passes this year and taken 10 of them for touchdowns.
Jeez.
So the guy's a touchdown machine, and Northern Bedford is going to have to slow them down. Now, they got off to a really good start when they played against Berlin earlier this year. I think maybe a good start on Friday will help them be able to hold off North Star.
Now, would you be worried about Northern Bedford? Because it seems like they blow out everybody. And now you're playing because I think the last couple games they've just pummeled people. Now you're playing a really good team as a coach. Do you have to worry? Do you think Coach Black has to worry?
I was just going to say I want to say that Gary Black is probably thinking. I hope he probably hopes that one of these teams will probably give him a much closer game because they haven't really had that so far this year. I know I would want one, but maybe this one could be it with North Star. I know he kind of had one with Berlin, but the North Star, this could present a pretty big challenge for them.
This could also be a preview of the district championship game because right now Northern Bedford's the number 1 seed and North Star is the number 2 seed with Winber at number 3. So whoever wins that semifinal, assuming Northern Bedford beats Myersdale in their first round game, probably going to be in the championship. And I thought it was interesting. Gary Black told me they don't hold anything back. They are not going to hide plays because they think this game's just as important as anything else. And what they'll do is just adapt and add things to the playbook later in the season when they play again, if they do.
And you got to think, too, because you played the game. I bet you had Coach Camberg, was it?
Yeah.
He was like, this is what we do. We're Mo Valley.
Not much ever changed. Not much ever changed for sure.
Our next game here, and I have to, the game Andy and I, when we're in here at night, we always sit there and go, what score is going to shock us tonight? We always sit there like the West Branch Unit Valley score.
Yeah.
This game here, we have Hollidaysburg 3-3 at Selinsgrove 6-1, and everybody knows who I root for. My kids, my wife. I thought no way was Hollidaysburg going to win that game, let alone win 49-0 at Oil City. And we will talk about Hollidaysburg again later with Andy's segment.
Yep.
But this Selinsgrove team is really good. They're 6-1. Mike will explain why they're 6-1. But how good is this Selinsgrove team?
Well, yeah, they're a 4A school. They're ranked in the state, and they have a lot of good players. Tucker Teets is probably their top player. He was run for 989 yards already this season. He's averaging 11.8 yards a carry. Now, I think he ran for over 200 yards last year against Hollidaysburg. Selinsgrove did a really good job against them last year, and it'll have to be a big turnaround for Hollidaysburg to come out and win this year. But Hollidaysburg just shut down Ethan Knox for Oil City, who had much better numbers than even Tucker Teets. So, they certainly, if they play the defense the way they did last week, keep assignment football the way Homer DeLatre wants them to, they can handle any kind of challenge. The only problem is the Selinsgrove team can throw the ball whereas Oil City couldn't really pass.
How tough is this, the fact that they have to go on the road 2 weeks in a row? I mean, Oil City and then Selinsgrove. Selinsgrove is like an hour past Lewistown, where I used to live. It's an hour and 10 minutes from here to Lewistown, then another. So you're looking at probably 2.5 hours.
How far is Hollidaysburg to Oil City? That's got to be.
That was a road trip.
Probably. I mean, and then I don't know what Selinsgrove is to Hollidaysburg, but that's not close. That's tough. I mean, I'm sure he's itching for a home game sometimes. I'm sure they're home next week because these. But yeah, that's not fun going to. And I come from Oak Valley, where our longest road trip was like an hour and 15, maybe an hour.
To Southern High, right?
Southern High, yeah. That was a decent road trip, but like. Some of these big schools, they take some really big road trips.
And I promised, first of all, I apologized to Homer for picking them to lose. And then I made another promise to him, regardless that I'm in second place in our picks, that I was picking Hollidaysburg the rest of the year, just because I felt like I owed that to him.
I'm not going to apologize because he told me there were going to be players playing for them the one game, and I picked them, and they did not play. So
Homer was trying to keep
no
that.
apology from me.
Yeah, but anyways, our next game here, Altuna 3-4 at Central Dauphin 4-3. Now those records aren't that far off, but this Central Dauphin, are they one of those teams that are better than their record, or what?
Well, yeah, they've been all right this year, but they've had to lose. They've lost to really good teams. They lost to State College, Cumberland Valley, and they've won some good games too. They beat Wilson West Lawn.
That's a good game.
They've run for 1,521 yards already as a team this year, led by Miles Copper, who has 612 yards, and they have really been able to move the ball on the ground. So obviously that's what Altoona does. So it'll be the matchups of the lines here. And unfortunately, when I talked to Coach Niedermeyer, he says that Central Dauphin has a huge line. So we'll see, which line wins out, and that's probably going to be who wins this game. Now, I will say, big jump for Altoona last week to get Braun Mosley back. That was a really important thing, both offensively and defensively, to get a kid like that back on the field, especially because Altoona, everything revolves around the fullback. So if you're missing that piece, it's a really tough thing to deal with. So to see him healthy and have a 90-yard touchdown run last week is pretty impressive.
You were a lineman in high school and college. If you're blocking bigger guys, you were always taught leverage, correct?
Absolutely,
even if you're smaller, you can still move bigger objects, correct?
Exactly, and it's all about leverage, and it's all about good footwork. But especially in high school, it's like size doesn't necessarily mean anything. You can be 210 pounds and be a pretty good high school lineman. So yeah, that doesn't necessarily. And I faced some pretty tough 210-pound kids, and here I was 300 pounds in high school. So yeah, size doesn't necessarily mean anything on the lines.
Our next game here, and I always like, because Mike has a great thing about United Valley that he talked earlier. United Valley 7-0, hosting 3-4 Portage. And aren't they the ones at the beginning of the year, he sat there and said, their own coach, whenever he was asked, who do you think is going to win your...
Well, it was we had in the Blitz magazine that the coaches picked United Valley to win the Heritage Conference. So when I went to Media Day, I talked to Coach Marabito and said, hey, you guys are the favorite. What do you think about that? And he goes, I don't like it.
I don't think we're going to be any good.
He goes, we've never won before. We're going to have to win to prove it. Well, they've proved it. They're 7-0 this year. But I will say this. This is a big game for Portage. If Portage is right now, they're just outside the playoff picture in 1A. But they played right with Northern Cambria a couple weeks ago. Finally got back on the winning track against Homer Center this past week. And if they can win this game, because United Valley is a 2A school, so at 7-0, that's a lot of points. You beat this team, it's going to put you right back in the thick of the playoff hunt. And I think Portage can hang with anybody. It's just they can lose to anybody, unfortunately, too. They almost lost to Conemaugh Township, who's 0-7. But then they almost beat Northern Cambria, who only has one loss. So this is a really good team that needs to play up to its potential, and they could possibly win this game, and that could get the boost that they need going into the postseason.
And real quick for those who don't know, United Valley are two schools. It's United and Blacklick Valley that merged together this year, and they're new to the area. I'm curious from your perspective, if you're late in the season and you're playing a 7-0 team, I don't know if you guys ever did that at all, even college or high school and everything. That's got to be something for the coaches. Not only do you have to scheme the game, but you have to psychologically scheme the game. Like, hey, we have a chance, even though we're 3-4 and they're 7-0.
And I'll give you a very good example. I only played one playoff game in Mo Valley in high school, and we were on the outside looking in. I think we were in 9th place. They took 8 places, and we were in 9th place going into the last week of the season. We beat Chestnut Ridge and got in. But from experience, you don't want to make a living on the outside looking in. You definitely would rather win these types of games against United Valley. This would be a very big win.
And I got to think the Mo Valley trip to Ridge was a long haul.
Oh yeah,
not longer than Southern Huntington.
Yeah, Southern Huntington, it just took forever. I mean, at least we had I-99 going down to Ridge, but
you don't have that going to Orbizona or whatever. It's 3 Springs. I'm not sure down there.
Yeah.
And now we come to the fun portion of our program, beginning with Mike's Stat of the Week.
Yeah, so this week I wanted to talk a little bit about the way that, so many times you hear a kid complain about not getting playing time, and sometimes it's just about waiting your turn because you have a really good kid in front of you or you have really good kids in front of you. And I just want to give this stat for all of the kids out there who are frustrated and thinking, I should be playing more. If you think about this, I mean, these kids were both juniors last year, so it's not like they're freshmen or sophomores. Jack Dunn and Jacob Benton for Central last year combined, they had 6 catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. That's it. Junior year. Because Eli Lingenfelder had one of the best seasons we've ever seen around here. He had 99 catches, 1,675 yards, and 27 touchdowns. So there's not a lot of passes to go around when you got a kid like that. This year, as seniors, Dunn and Benton together have 60 catches for 1,152 yards and 12 touchdowns. And Jack Dunn, is leading our area in receptions.
And he's a tight end, right?
And yes, and so
I think that's cool right there.
So to just stick it out and wait your turn, sometimes great things happen, and that's what happened with these 2 Central kids.
And kids know that we should tell that to the parents sometimes, because you got to know as a parent, you're sitting in the stands going, why is my kid not playing? Well, because Eli Lingenfelder's on the team.
And that's a prime example of iron sharpens iron right there too. I mean, they're replacing, one of the best receivers in some time in Lingenfelder, and hey, they're doing a very good job at it.
And now also Andy's line of the week, where we have the fun part where Dan puts in that sound with the coach talk. I love that part.
Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
All right, Hollidaysburg. I picked you because Homer Delatry's a Mo Valley guy. Actually, I didn't really pick him for that.
Who told you about that line? I'm curious. Who was that person?
What?
What
about Homer being a Mo Valley?
No, about Andy's line of the week.
I knew that. I knew that before. Okay. No, I didn't really pick him because Homer's Mo Valley guy. I picked him because, as we were talking about earlier, Ethan Knox, a very good Oil City running back. He was coming in the last week averaging 258 yards and close to 4 touchdowns a game. Well, Hollidaysburg held them scoreless, obviously, and they held him to 100 yards. That's fantastic. We set up right away on Friday night. It's like, we're going Hollidaysburg's defensive line of the week.
That's what I wanted credit for that right there, because I said, there's your line right there. I was going to
say, that was an easy
defensive line, too.
D-line, yeah. I think this is the first time we did D-line this year. D-line starters, Aiden Billick, Wyatt Maines, Colin Patamonsky, Jefferson McCoy, Hunter Albright. Congrats to those guys.
And how is Jefferson McCoy not made my cool name?
I was going to say, that's a great
because he is. They call him Jeff, but his real first name is Jefferson, which I love, and maybe I'll save him for next year.
I wonder if he's only a junior. I wonder if he's the real McCoy.
No.
Why don't you just save him for after he graduated?
Which leads us to our next part, my favorite part, the cool name segment. Because last week when I picked the Homer Center kid, when I was looking in our magazine, I accidentally looked at key losses instead of key returnees. But I think the important thing is that I was reading our magazine for that. But anyway, Homer Center's got to get a new one, so I'm giving it to Eli Butterly. Eli Butterly. And I'm going to sit there and think of names if he gets engaged someday when they put it in the paper. What would be a great name to go with Butterly? But anyways,
Can't believe it's not Butterly.
oh no,
Is he related to the South Park?
Oh,
Butters.
Butters, there you go. But Homer Center's Eli Butterly. But now, back to the two regular ones. We have from Clearfield, I just like the sound of this name, Isaac Putt. P-U-T-T, and you said his dad coaches?
I think his dad's an assistant coach.
Yeah, Isaac Putt. I like that.
Wonder if he's a good golfer.
There you go. And then this one is, I looked and I thought, I haven't picked a Tyrone one, and I don't know how many young people know this, but if anybody remembers the Lone Ranger on TV growing up, it was played by an actor named Clayton Moore. And Tyrone has a junior named Clayton Moore. Now, Clayton spells it with a K, as you can see in front of your screen there, but I just like, he was named after a celebrity, Clayton Moore. So I thought, I'm going to pick that. So Clayton Moore and Isaac Putt, which I want to make sure I put the emphasis on Putt. But anyways, and Eli Butterly. But that's going to do it for this week's show. I always forget to do this, and Daniel is always good. He doesn't like, share, subscribe when you're thinking of the Altoona Mirror Football Show on YouTube TV and Altoona Public Access Channel 13. But for Mike Boyden, for Andy Stine, I'm Scott Franco, Dan Eisenberg behind the camera. Thanks, and next week you will be watching Week 9 of the high school football season. Good night. Goodbye. See ya.